What's up, my KickTalk people? Happy New Year 2024. We made it. Here's a brand new episode of KickTalk. Feel like this is season 2 because we've just been doing the show for about a year now. Today, we're going to talk about the Adidas Samba. You might have heard of them because they're almost everywhere right now. So we're going to talk about some fun facts, history of the shoe, where the shoe is today, how the shoe got popular, and is the trend going to continue? So without further ado, I'm back like a chiropractor. So let's go! So let's talk about some fun facts in the history of the shoe. Did you know that the shoe was originally designed in 1949? And its original use was to be used for outdoor soccer players who were playing on a cold surface. They needed something to grip onto the field more, and that's where the idea came from. The shoe was actually originally a mid-top sneaker, and over the years it got redesigned. It made its debut in 1950 at the Brazil World Cup. As you might guess, the name Samba is a traditional South American dance, and they wanted the South Americans to love the shoe as it was debuted at the Brazil World Cup. 4 years later, Adidas made a spiked version of the Samba for their German players who ended up winning that World Cup. And honestly, that's really how the legend has started and continued to grow till today. It's hard to believe that the shoe has been around for over 7 decades, but it's continued to reinvent itself to make it what it is today. Sambas have gone up and down as far as trends go. And recently, I would say in the 2000s, early 2000s when I was growing up, the Samba was not a popular shoe. At that point, it was looked at as a budget dad shoe. I played soccer growing up, so when I think of Sambas, I think of 50-year-old pot-belly dads coaching intramural soccer leagues with a beer in hand and Sambas on. It's amazing to me to see how it's transitioned to be a fashion icon and a shoe that is just popular and sought after at this moment. They sell out so frequently. Now, when we talk about where the resurgence began, the first thing I want to acknowledge is how deep the roots are of the Samba when it goes to soccer, football, from my international viewers. US has started to gain popularity in soccer. Not only is it the little league kids anymore, but adults are starting to pay more attention. A lot more high schoolers are starting to take their craft seriously, to play in colleges and to play overseas at European clubs. So we got to keep that in mind. I think there's a correlation with soccer being popular as well as the Samba coming back to life. Now, what you also have to remember is when shoes are worn by celebrities during their off hours, caught by paparazzi, that usually creates a surge for the people who are viewing what these celebrities wear. Bella Hadid is probably most famous in these most recent years, let's call it the 2020s, for bringing back the Samba as far as fashion goes. She's been spotted regularly wearing different colors of Sambas, as well as many other popular female celebrities, actresses, artists, anything you can think of. A lot of people love this Samba as almost I would call it their weekend shoe. So the shoe is getting a lot of play through internet screens, computer screens, and everything else. Hashtags, Instagram. Influencers are just in love with the shoe. Also, what has made the shoe popular is high-profile collabs. The first profile collab that I would say really brought the shoe back was in 2020 when Wales Bonner did their first collab with the shoe. One of their most popular versions of their collab was an all-silver shoe. And this shoe, if you go on StockX, Flight Club, any of these online sneaker boutiques, they are reselling for in the thousands, maybe 800 to 1,000. And honestly, that's shocking to think of a Samba that at one point was a budget shoe that you could find in any Ross or any, giant store like that for $50 and lower, how it's just overturned all of that stigma to being a cool shoe again. So you have the celebs, you have the cool, collabs for the shoe. But also what's interesting is a lot of people have started to leave the Nike lifestyle footwear category I would almost attribute it to Nike over retroing a lot of things that you can almost get every 5 years. The Sambas were really kind of out of contention from 2000 to 2020. So there was a bit of a drought. People didn't see that silhouette too much. But with slim shoes and silhouettes being back, this shoe is like, it's in the perfect storm. And honestly, hopefully you don't have too many Panda Dunk haters out there, but I feel like this shoe is kind of that transition. It's become the next crispy white go-to sneaker that's durable, that works with a lot of outfits. So, and me personally, I am more or so a Nike person, but I would say that the Samba next to the Dunk is a bit more refined and can go with more things. Let's talk about my personal experiences with the Samba. I would personally say that this one in hand, the white Samba, is the trendy shoe that's in right now. I grew up wearing the black pair, and also what I think is so interesting about the Sambas is they've reinvented the style over the decades, and the ones that I used to have are called the Samba Classic, and the Samba Classics, they have a long tongue. So my experience with the shoe was, one, not really wanting the shoe because I used to look at it as like a cheap shoe. At that point in the early 2000s, it was like a $40 shoe, and it was basically the shoe your parents would want you to get. So obviously as a teenager, you want to have your own style, but I ended up with Sambas. And one thing I used to not love about the classic ones with the long tongue is they would never stay straight. They would always droop to the side. So I had a little Samba trauma, if you want to say. So when the shoe became popular again, I was like, what? And I never wore the white pair. But honestly, now that it's come back into fruition, I really enjoy the white pair. I think it's classy. I think it's refined. I love how there's almost different hues of darkness to contrast the white leather. And the leather quality is usually pretty good on Sambas. If you're into classic shoes, you would probably compare this to a German army trainer. That's kind of where Adidas got its silhouette. And if you were to look into trends, both of those shoes are popular right now. So it's a great alternative if you don't want to go for the super classic look. I actually got this pair from my wife recently, and we got it for her. I got it for her birthday last year, and I knew that the Samba was popular again. I try to keep my eyes on all sneaker trends, but I didn't realize that it's a specific shoe size that has been taking over the Samba world. Honestly, women's shoes and men's shoes under the size of 7, which can translate to a women's shoe, have been what sells out regularly. There's been a lot of high-profile Samba collabs. You can almost get a Samba in any color and in any texture, but the general releases, the classic black and the classic white, are the ones that are selling out like hotcakes. So it's super interesting just to see how the shoe has trended compared to other shoes, because I think about like Air Force Ones, right? The white pairs and the black pairs, like, they're always there. They're not really hard to get these days, but if you go for a collab, that shoe's gonna go for $1 million and it's gonna be hard to get. These Adidas Sambas are like exactly the opposite. Like, everybody wants a plain, classic, refined look, and I agree with them. Honestly, doing this research and getting this pair for my wife, it makes me want to get a pair. And so what's cool about the Adidas Samba is there are different categories of it. You can get a skateboarding version. You can get a handball indoor version. They even have a snowboard boot that is an Adidas Samba. So it's turned into a lifestyle. And if you do like the shoe and maybe don't want to follow the exact trends, there are so many different reiterations of the shoe that'll still make you feel special. What do you think about the Samba? Do you think about soccer? Do you think about soccer dads? Do you think about playing soccer leagues growing up? Or do you think more on the fashion side? Do you look at it as the it girl shoe, as the model on her day off shoe? What are your thoughts? I think it's so universal that everybody has a little space in their heart for Samba. So let me know what you think in the comments. It's been a pleasure. Once again, Happy New Year. I'm going to keep getting better at this thing. Now, you know you're going to keep getting better at life. We're just going to keep getting it. So until then, have a good January. I'm going to be back before the month's over. So you have a good time. It's KickTalk. I'm out, y'all.
Cartier's glistening.